Photograph is a poem written by Shirley TOULSON. A photograph unfolds the very tenet of time and timelessness. The poem strongly hints at the eternal state of the natural being and ephemeral state of the humans. Here, we are acquainted with a picture of the sea beach and three girls, including the poet's mother and her cousins. The sea has rarely changed, but the mother of the poet met the horns of death. This is a melancholic poem because we are acquainted with loss, pain, separation. The smiling photograph creates a pang in the heart of the poet as she remembers and misses her mother with a doleful heart. The absence of a mother in her life has made her life a gloomy one. Therefore, we call it melancholic. We can also say that it is nostalgic. If nostalgia describes sentimentally for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations, then a photograph is a nostalgic poem. We find the poet to acquaint us with the past happy moments related to her mother's childhood and happy days. Let's begin with a line by line explanation. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling. Here, the word cardboard presents an illusion. The cardboard with the photograph shows the transient state of the human beings. The poet tells us about the photograph where her mother and her two cousins are on the beach paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. Here in the picture, mother is in the middle of the two cousins, each of them holding the hands of the poet's mother. They are joyous and in a holiday mood. Of the three, the poet's mother is the bigger one, aging 12 years or so. All three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera, which means all the three girls are presented with innocuous pictures where they are facing towards the camera with a smiling face through their hair. They have their uncle with the camera taking the snapshot. And then it reads, "A sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born." The poet narrates the face of a mother to be a sweet one. She reminds us about the time gap and asserts that the picture was taken before her birth. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. The poet comments the less changing of the sea, which reflects the eternal state of the natural elements which don't change years after year. And at the same time, it hints at the transient state of the human beings. Then the poet acquaints us with terribly transient feet, meaning the temporary state of humans, the mortals. Some 20-30 years later, she'd laugh at the snapshot. "See Betty and Dolly," she'd say, "and look how they dressed us for the beach." This means that 20-30 years later, the pictures were clicked. Mother would have laughed at the pictures and said, meaning Betty and Dolly, about their awkwardly dressing for the beach. It shows mother being nostalgic about those past moments. And this one is to be understood very carefully. The sea holiday was her past. Mine is her laughter. Both wry with the labored ease of loss. Now understand it. Here it shows that there is a feeling of pain is presented here. The poet states that for the mother, the happy sea holidays are past. And for the poet, her mother's laughter is past. Here, both are feeling the loss in both parts. Now, she has been dead nearly as many years as the girl lived, and of these circumstances there is nothing to say at all. The poet here acquaints that this girl refers to the mother, has been dead as many years as she had lived, and now the circumstances which is melancholic and hope, and how the circumstance which is melancholic and hopeless one, and the situation made the poet speechless. Her pain kept her silent. Its silences means the silence that is created because of the death of her mother made her completely silent, leaving her in utter pain. So now we club up with the main points. The poet looks at the childhood photograph of her mother, number 1. Number 2, she has gone for a sea holiday with her 2 cousins, namely Betty and Dolly. Number 3, while they were paddling on the beach, their uncle photographed their sweet smile in a camera. Then 4, both the cousins were holding the hands of her mother, who was the oldest among the girls. 5, this was before the poet was born. 6, time fled past since then, and all those who are in the photograph underwent changes, while the sea remained the same. 7, her mother would look at the photograph after about 20 or 30 years and laugh at this photo nostalgically. 9, now for the poet, her mother's laughter and her sea holiday is a thing of the past. 9, her mother died about 12 years ago. 10, the silence of the photograph silences the poet. And lastly, she experiences a great loss. Now we will proceed on to understanding the important lines. And the sea which appears to have changed less washed their terribly transient feet. Now the sea in the picture is still the same today. It has changed very little, and it seems to wash the feet which by nature are transient. Transient why? Because human life is short-lived as compared to nature. Nature is perennial, while human life is temporary or transient. So the poet uses a transferred epithet in order to make this comparison and highlight the terribly short-lived life of the mother. The second one is, the sea holiday was her past. Mine is her laughter. Both wry with the labored ease of loss. Here, the sea holiday was remembered by her mother with a fondness as well as a sense of loss. Why? Because that time would never return. Similarly, her laughter would also never return to the narrator. So the sea holiday was the narrator's mother's past, and her mother's laughter is the narrator's past. Both these pasts are remembered with a difficult and yet easy sense of loss.